Get all of your NECA horror figures, including the new Blood Jason, at Big Bad Toy Store at the link in the description.
Horror, kaiju, Dragon Ball, and more. Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hey, hello there, collectors. It is Steven here, and welcome to another Jason Voorhees review, and we're taking a look at him on a Figure Friday. So, of course, we got to use Figure Friday the 13th logo here. Don't get to use it too often, so just bear with me and let's have some fun. We're going to be taking a look at NECA's Ultimate Jason from Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Or if you just kind of want to get a little loosey-goosey with it, Part 4, because it comes after Part 3 before the 5th one. Anyway, this one appears to the untrained eye to just be a simple repaint of the Part 3 Jason with just a couple of new things. But it is not the case, and this one actually is apparently not a big popular Jason figure. I routinely find this on sale. I picked mine up for actually 20 bucks. So does that mean that there's something wrong with this one? Do people really just see this as a cheap repaint NECA got out there on the market? Or is this one unique enough to put up on the shelf? Let's take a look to see whether or not what was not the final chapter of Jason is worth adding into your collection. Drop in the comments. Should it have been the last one? I mean, I've got a few other cool designs. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Taking a real up-close look at this Jason here, we can definitely see that his shirt is going to be different than the one from Part 3. There are some subtle differences, but the biggest telling factors are going to be the buttons on this shirt, as well as the fact that there is going to be no undershirt, which was sculpted in to the shirt for Part 3. So even though they are very similar, and the way that the Friday the 13th movies flow, Part 3 goes directly into the final chapter, this should be exactly the same to Part 3. That's not a knock on NECA. This is not the same. It's not just a repaint. Now, for the pants, however, I do believe it is going to be a reuse of those pants. Now, I say I do believe because even holding them side by side at one point, I really wasn't able to tell if there were any new parts. And the feet, the trademark and copyright stamps and all that fun stuff underneath, they appear to be the same. So I'm going to assume that from the waist down, it's going to be the same. But from everything on the torso and the neck and the hands, that's all brand new, especially if you could tell by the face. Oh, I don't even know if a mother could love that. At least the details are very nice, except for I got NECA'd. Yeah, nice big old blob of paint on the head there. Don't know what went on, but hey, quality control at its finest. Or maybe it's not. Regardless, though, aside from that small little blop, I'd have to say that in regards to looks, this Jason is very nice. There are a couple of inconsistencies with the wash not being enough on some parts, almost making the skin tone not quite match up. But otherwise, for the price point, I paid 20 bucks. I am very happy with how this Jason looks. We have some fantastic weathering on the pants, which really makes it look like this guy was running around in the swamp. Camp Crystal Lake, c'est la vie. And we do have some, I guess you might call it, blood splashes all over the shirt, which really makes it look like he went on a killing spree. Overall, if you're a fan of the final chapter and you really like that version of Jason, then I do have to say that this is going to be one figure that, at least from the looks department, this should be considered to go up on your shelf. He's nice and gory, definitely looks mangled up. All things considered, he looks fantastic. Articulation for Jason, even though basically, from the waist down, we're going to have similarly to Part 3. The articulation overall is going to be very similar to Part 3. And what do we have? Well, the head is going to plug in on a peg, which is going to be a ball joint where it plugs into the neck. So we're going to have swivel movement where the head plugs in, as you can see there, and then it's going to be able to rock around on that ball joint connection where it plugs into the neck. So that's very good. We can spin the head around as you would like to please. And that is also how you're going to swap out for the extra head parts. Very cool. For the shoulders, they are going to swivel around. Note the rubber parts there, making that noise. And they are going to have hinges. So this way you can get them to T-pose like so. For the elbows, we are going to have limited single hinges. They go up that far. Man, that is a blast from the past that thankfully NECA is working to fix, which they went to double hinge and then they went back to single hinge, but they actually engineered them. So with good engineering and good tooling, you can make them better. For the wrists, we are going to have ball joints where they plug into the forearm, and then swivels where the actual hand plugs into the wrist. So we get basically just effectively ball joint movement, which is good. We get a single ball joint waist, which is a little tight here. It almost feels like it ratchets, but as you can see, we get Jason to bob around, which is good. Now, I don't know if in the future this figure gets reissued. The hips may change because NECA has moved over towards ball jointed hips instead of the swivel and hinge combo that NECA is used to using. We'll take a look at them in just a second. So that's how far forward and back his legs can kick, and that's how far out they can do the split. So this is how they use the hips for quite some time. So they are connected here. They plug into each other. I actually have a video on how to fix these hips if you happen to have a Jason with hips that are kind of like that. They're kind of one seated higher than the other. It can just happen sometimes. You can actually fix that. It's not that big of a deal. And then we do have dedicated thigh swivels, as you can see here, which is pretty cool. We do have single hinge knees for better or worse, but that's the extent of the range of movement. But those also have swivels as well. For the ankle joints, we are going to have just ball joints that do allow a little bit of movement and just slight ankle rocker movement, not too much. So the ankle joints just kind of help to get Jason into more dynamic poses, but not really all that much. So overall, you can get Jason into some fun poses. Blech. Get the words out, Steven. But for an Ultimate figure, he's not really that articulated. There is going to be a new Jason coming out already. New blood version, which, is very articulated. And quite frankly, I would not mind if they went back and updated some of the older ones. But for you fans who kind of just like a slower Jason, who's kind of towering over his victims, this one will be just fine. If you wanted to pin someone's hand down before you open up your bottle of wine and put a cleaver into their face, or you just wanted to hack someone's head off with a saw, this Jason pretty much comes with all of the iconic kill weapons from the movie. So what all do we have? Well, we get an alternate head part with another mask. I'll touch on why that mask is included here in just a minute. And we get a whole variety of weapons along with a tombstone for Pamela Voorhees. So let's go ahead and just take a look at this, because this is kind of short, sweet, and to the point. There's not a whole lot going on here because we just kind of see this in the movie. And I mean, it's here. It's an accessory. It's nice considering all the other neat accessories, the diorama pieces that NECA's thrown in with the different Friday the 13th releases so far, including the Camp Crystal Lake accessory set with the Part 2 Jason with the campfire. This is very nice to have, whether it's going to be up front in your display or in the back. It's pretty cool. Now, for the alternate head part. Well, for the alternate head part in and of itself, there is a slit in it where you can insert the machete, so this way you can recreate Jason's death at the end of this movie. It almost feels like that was intended to be the end, but then money. Anyway, we have two masks here, one with weathering to it and no red paint for the chevrons, and then we have one that looks a bit cleaner, has more noticeable wear and tear on the nose, and it's got the red chevron. So what's going on there? Well, to my understanding, in the movie, as they were out filming in the rain and so forth, the red washed off. So hey, that's why you get two. One to depict non-rain and one to depict rain. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Now, for all of the weapons that Jason is going to come with, and he's going to come with a lot. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about them all while I'm going to show up-close pictures along with action shots on the screen. Jason is going to come with a standard knife. He's going to come with a meat cleaver. He's going to come with a saw. Bone saw. Maybe that's what you're going to go ahead and want to call it. What do they call that on the back of the box? So this way I can kind of get that a bit more. Hacksaw. They're going to call that a hacksaw. Anyway, so we get the knife. We get the cleaver, we get the hacksaw, we get the corkscrew, the wine opener, whatever you prefer to call that. We get the nice big axe, and we get the classic machete. Now, something I really didn't talk about because, it is what it is. Jason is going to come with another hand part that actually has a little bit more plastic on it on the inside, so this way he can hold weapons. Now, why is this? Well, some of the weapons, and it's actually a bit hit or miss, actually require a tighter grip. Most specifically, it's going to be for that knife, and some say for the corkscrew as well, but really, depending on how you want Jason to hold the weapon, you can pretty much use any hand for this. Now, what I will say, because we're coming up to the end of this section, the other hand, which has a bit more of a loose grip, the hole to swap out the hands is small. Actually, really small. So small as in, I don't know if this is a defect and the plastic was not cut properly out of the factory. But yeah, I had to shave away some of the plastic and use heat to swap out the hands. So pay attention there. Now, if you want to get the machete into that alternate head part, it literally just slides right in. It's not hard to do. So accessories here. I think aside from maybe it was a spear that was used in the movie to enact one of the kills, and more importantly, it was included on the quarter scale, but not included here. The battle damaged hand where he has his fingers split just like right down the middle of his hand. I mean, oh, wow, that battle damaged hand, let's call it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That for sure should have been included in this release because I can't really consider this an ultimate without that. But otherwise, Jason pretty much is going to come with everything here, and it is a nice option. Now, of course, I mean, you can play pretend, add any weapon from any Jason release here, but I would definitely advise getting the Camp Crystal Lake accessory set if you are able to get it. But otherwise, if you are looking for other accessories, I have an ultimate display video for some suggestions on how to display your Jason Voorhees. Now let's go ahead and move on over to a size comparison so you can see how big this Jason is. And quite frankly, at this point, I only need to give you a rough idea of how big this Jason is going to be because pretty much all the Jasons are the same size. I don't have the New Blood one in hand yet, but I would imagine that one's going to be a little bit different in size. Aside from the remake and the Freddy vs. Jason one. So yeah, you got one. You pretty much know how big they all are. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Well, I have to say for the final verdict, overall, I'm very pleased that I paid $20 to get mine a little while back. I'm not a huge super duper fan of this particular movie myself, but I do think that this gruesome near zombie version of Jason, near, keyword there, near, is pretty cool to have in the collection, and quite frankly, I actually like to display this one without his mask. But that's just me. We get another accessory for your overall Friday the 13th display with Pamela's tombstone, and we get some pretty neat weapons, which the blood paint application for all of them is really cool. If you're a fan of this particular version of Jason, pick this up. You will not be disappointed with this release. If you're kind of on the fence for which version you want to get because, you know, Jason is Jason, you just want to get a cool one, maybe there are some other ones you should look at before committing to this purchase, and maybe wait to see what else is settled with the lawsuit to see what else NECA might put out.
Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.